goes. Degrees.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Hookup on Music, episode 65. Wow, 65 episodes. We are here, and we are ready to rock. Got some awesome buddies here up in the chat. Got my main man, Brewhand Luke. I was looking at the tallies today. It was like 9 episodes ago that you joined me. So maybe every 9 episodes, we could have you come back on. And it could be like the special thing. So, very awesome that you're joining me tonight for this very special Tuesday night live episode. So thank you very much, my man.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Always love coming on here and just talking music and what's going on in the music world and all the news, and
Heck yeah,
always fun.
Always a blast. So let's get started with a little bit of what I would deem to be a little sad news that deemed us last week. Which was the unfortunate passing of Dicky Betts. Allman Brothers Band passed away on April 18th. He was born in December 12th of 1943 in West Palm Beach, Florida, and lived to be 80 years old. Me, myself personally, I'm pretty big Allman Brothers Band fan. Are you a fan of the Allman Brothers Band?
I mean, how can you not put on that, the Allman Brothers come on the radio, or you put them on your turntable or whatever on your playlist, and you're instantly turning up the volume. They are just a jammer. They're rocking always.
I for the time when I started getting into more of an expansion of music, like the Grateful Dead and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. At that point, my friend had like an Allman Brothers Greatest Hits. I always just thought they were just like a straight up blues band until I sat down and listened to live at Fillmore East. And there's just a lot of 15-minute just things that are like what the Dead do, rhythmic patterns that are so different. So to hear his unfortunate passing, and again, there's really, not really, there is only one original member left of the Allman Brothers Band, and it's kind of crazy to think about that when you think about being the only member of a band that had 5-6 people.
Yeah, I mean, that reading through his bio again, and just the influence that he had on the band, and like Jessica and Statesboro Blues, and God, what's the other banger that I am missing off the top of my head?
I mean, pretty much when you go and when you think of him and his influence was a little bit of some, you liked a lot of bluegrass, a little bit of country bluegrass type of feeling. For me, this guitar part, because a lot of people put Duane Allman as one of the great guitar players of all time, and he's awesome.
Yeah.
But sometimes they forget about what Betts contributed to the band, and this guitar part right here is the one that always really sticks with me, and it's all him. That whole guitar lick right there.
Yeah.
And for me, empathy plays a lot in the music that I enjoy. And imagine a band reeling with the death of 2 members, and this is what you create. And him being the only guitar player, really. I know there was another one in the sessions, but he was the one who wrote the song. But
yeah,
amazing.
Yeah, just a beautiful guitarist, like that. Not like you're saying, not enough people really give him the credit because they think of the Allman Brothers, they think of Dwayne. They don't think of Dicky Betts as much. I was very I was amazed looking at his bio. The fun facts of his bio after his death and looking back at it, he named one of his sons Dwayne after Dwayne Allman, and then one of his daughters is named Jessica after the song. I was like, okay, this guy was a lot cooler than I would ever like.
Well, you think of a band that's got a song Jessica, it's got a song Melissa.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you got a couple awesome track names like that, but like Whipping Post, you know, I mean, his guitar, I mean, especially live, I mean, I want to get like where you can get the mixes of like and really be able to, because there's so much guitar intertwining between him and Dwayne.
Yes.
Sometimes you're like, whoa, who's that's okay, but that's what's awesome about the band. Just so many different things coming at you at the same time.
They just meshed so well together as a group. Like they knew how to like work and vibe off of each other, whether it's in a recording, in a concert, whatever it was. They knew how to work together with both guitarists in there. Like, hey, this is different, but we got this. Like, you know, like it worked. So
I've always been a big fan, especially as I've been getting older. Just having a little bit of that. If you were in a band, having a little just that much country flavor, just a little, just a tiny bit, enough where a song like, you know, and they didn't want to do Ramblin' Man. They said originally they thought it was a little too country for the band, but you know, they did it, and thank the Lord that they did, because it's an awesome track. And it's cool, even this picture that's on the screen here, to see him in his later years with this awesome white beard. I mean, he was still playing shows up until the very end.
Yeah, I mean, that's how you keep rocking. You know, you just gotta stay busy and keep rocking with it.
That's
what he did until he couldn't do it anymore.
Heck yeah. So when you get an opportunity out there, jam out some Allman Brothers Band. Go to that Live at Fillmore East album. That's a great place to start, and jump around and listen to a whole bunch of other stuff and honor Dicky Betts. Very, very, very awesome. Well, you reached out to me, which was awesome because I wanted to reach out to you. So I always appreciate when someone reaches out to me. A new album just dropped just this past Friday too. So we had a little sadness, now something a little bit to pick us up. Pearl Jam, brand new album, Dark Matter, just released. A lot of positive reviews. I mean, of course, I hear the usual negative Nancy's about a lot of things that are out there, but we'll get to that here in a little bit. How excited were you for this brand new album to be released?
Anytime you could get a Pearl Jam album, I'm going to be really amped up about it. I did not stay up to listen to it as it got released at midnight. And, you know, I woke up the next morning, getting ready for work, put it on, you know, as I'm preparing and going through my morning routine. The first listen, I was like, oh yeah, this is okay. It's better than their previous album that they released in 2020, right during COVID. And I was like, okay, this is better, not the best. And then, you know, like a lot of people, I have a 3 listens rule where you got to let that all sink in and settle in. So after the second listen, I was like, oh, wow, I missed a lot on this first listen. Like I missed a lot. This is way better than I thought. And then that third listen through, I was like, holy shit, this is all of Pearl Jam. This isn't just what like 2024 Pearl Jam is. This is 90s alternative Pearl Jam into the 2000s Pearl Jam into this era now. Like it covers all the bases of every era of Pearl Jam. Like it has everything in there.
Yeah, there is a lot in there. And they did the April 16th one night only global theatrical experience. And again, you got to sit down and visualize and listen to the songs for the first time in the theater. And then I think they first played it without the visuals, and then they played it with the visuals. But again, album's got a lot of stuff, a lot of different sounds. It's not all heavy, you know what I mean? There is a lot of rocking on the album, but it's not the whole entire piece isn't they stated when it came out that the whole entire album was going to be, this super, and it starts out that way, but I think as it goes along, definitely get a lot of different sounds.
Yeah, they came out in a flurry with the opening 2 songs were absolutely like classic Pearl Jam there, and then they kind of scaled back when like on Wreckage there, and then ramped it right back up again, and it was just like Wreckage was perfectly placed, I think, on the album there with the 3rd track after coming in so hot those first 2.
Well, I mean, a lot of people, opening track on the album is really, really rocking. Again, if you have an opportunity to check out the YouTube videos, they come with cool visuals like you see right there. But again, it's fast. Okay, it's like, I don't want to call it punk, but it's very fast, and they've been doing this for the last 4 or 5 albums where they make very fast music at times. Where I think, but then again, you get to Wreckage, and Wreckage is not super fast. It was on XRT on the way home.
Okay.
And the more I listen to that song, the more I enjoy it. I've never been somebody who's been like, these albums stink by Pearl Jam, but these albums are better by Pearl Jam. Because you could hear, especially in track 2, React Respond, really produced awesomely compared to some other compared to other stuff that is out there. But even when you go back and you were to dig into what's the word I'm saying, like older albums, like, which I back in there, and I went and I read some reviews under that, and I saw one guy's like, shut up and sing. And then if you go and you listen to that song that I just played right there, there's pretty heavy lyrics in there trying to, again, stand up to whatever the cause was at the time. Pearl, if you go back to Jeremy, are people missing what Pearl Jam has been about from the beginning?
They made an entire concert poster of the Capitol building burning down when Trump was president. Or they wrote a song about George W. Bush called Bush Leaguer, and they wore his George Bush masks on stage at a concert. Like, they've always been this way.
Well, bands are going to do. I think what it is that bands are going to do what bands are going to want. Especially, and to be fair, a band like Pearl Jam who's been along, they're going to record the songs that they want to record.
Yes.
And honestly, I've always looked at it to be like, we're lucky to hear the songs that they want to record. I guess it's better than nothing, and again, better than nothing. This is a pretty good album. When you compare it to a lot of other things that are out there, and you also look at Pearl Jam as a whole, is it their best? No. But is it good? Yeah. As you go, I like the last track, Setting Sun. Okay. I like to go and always how an album starts and how an album ends. That's kind of where my interests lie, because starting an album is huge, but having a track that can end the album, and Setting Sun's a pretty good ending to the album.
Yeah, it's a very good outro, if you will. Yeah. The other one that I think is really going to sneak up on some people is Waiting for Stevie. I think that's going to be a track that, looking at other reviews, I was like, that was about the 3rd listen when it finally stood out to me. I'm like, oh, this reminds me of In Hiding off of Yield. And then I'm hearing like some Soundgarden vibes to it. It has that 90s Pearl Jam vibe in there. And I feel like I'm listening to a little bit of the early 90s and some Soundgarden mixed in there on top of the late 90s Pearl Jam with Yield and Hiding. And it just, that song to me is going to be an anthem. They're going to play that at almost every concert, I think, moving forward. I could be wrong, but I feel like that's the one that, like, if I'm just going to play one song off of this album, God, is it hard? But I think that's the one that I'm going to go to, and I'm just going to turn off full volume and just play that one 2 or 3 times and then go back to the top of the album, because it's an anthem. It was so good.
The last album, Gigaton, they were exploring, trying
Mm-hmm.
different sounds, doing different things. They stated that they wanted a little get big back to basics, some more solos and stuff like that. I think, I did like some of the songs on Gigaton, but this is, again, a different experience. And if you ask me right now what I remember about Gigaton, Dance of the Clairvoyants, and then not a whole lot after that, which, and that's what I like to see. I'm hoping for this album I hope it sticks like we're talking about it right now. I look back through this last year of a lot of albums that came out, which are the ones that stuck, and about 75% with them still I could say, oh, okay, these are really awesome albums. I like what Pearl Jam's doing. There was some descriptions of some of the songs sounding country. Do you agree with that, or do you think that's just, this is Pearl Jam, and this is a sound that Pearl Jam has displayed for quite a long time?
So I think, I don't know if it would be really, I wouldn't call it country, but like their slower tempoed songs are not what people think of when you think of Pearl Jam. But I think they've been doing that for so long now that, like, it's coming. Like, Wreckage is a little bit down tempo, and I think the one that probably caught people off guard was Something Special, which I think that was a really good one. That one just to me was like, that's a jam. Like, you put that song in on a Friday morning going to work, like, hey, it's a Friday vibe, just chilling out, mellowing out. You could sit outside on your back porch having a few drinks in the summer, listen to that one. Like, that's where I'm at with. I don't know if it would be country or Western vibe necessarily. I just think that's more of the down tempo side of Pearl Jam that I've been used to listening to.
Well, that's the one thing that I always think every band should have. I being even somebody who came from the beginnings of and likes a lot of heavy music, even for a band, doesn't everyone need a little bit of a break to chill on a couple tracks, especially when you're coming out of the gate as hard and heavy as those tracks are?
Yeah.
You're even recently, Metallica had a double album where it was literally every song was breakneck speed, where I go back to the Black album and listening to and seeing what's called different sounding songs all mixed together. I've always been a fan of that. All my favorite bands do that. Zeppelin could go heavy and then go slow on some acoustic stuff. The Who are a big Pearl Jam loves The Who.
Yep.
And that's where I think Pearl Jam, but bands change, and I think it's somewhere a mix between, you got to go along with along for the ride with the band, and then also you have to, the band sometimes fans might not be with what they're going for. And so far though, reviews are good.
Yeah, very good, very happy. Like you said, after Gigaton, I was a little nervous because Gigaton was not very good of an album, but this one, I think they really bounced back and got back to their old classic ways. And like, even if you're a casual Pearl Jam fan who hasn't liked some of their more recent stuff that they've produced, I think if you were to give this a listen, you would say, this is the Pearl Jam that I remember from like
At least like Yield.
Yeah.
It's a really good representation of that era of
Yep.
Pearl Jam. Even, Vitology's, really experimental.
Mm-hmm.
Versus, the more I listen to it, it's heavy. It's really, I get really kind of sometimes, I don't want to say the word is disappointed, but what's the word I'm looking for? People pigeonhole Pearl Jam as like they don't rock enough, I guess.
Yep.
And to me, it's like, they rock plenty. If you're comparing them to other Seattle bands, I could play songs where they're pretty rocking. And on this album, just that first track, definitely indicates that. We have a question here for you, Luke. Did you buy the vinyl?
I did not get the vinyl yet. So I was working Saturday, had a long day at the track meet for Record Store Day, so I couldn't participate this year. I'm gonna try this weekend to go up to Pinwheel Records up in Pilsen and see if they have it. See what else I got. Might have to pick up, an Allman Brothers vinyl for the occasion. And Neil Young and Crazy Horse got a new album coming out. They released that on Record Store Day, so I might look into that. We'll see.
That right there would be they're coming to Northerly Island. That would be a really awesome concert. Neil Young and Crazy Horse. Would be. Which I just saw. Pearl Jam. They have their own festival. It's called the what is it called? The Ohana Festival. Oh, I'm gonna find. Oh, here it is. It was just announced here. It's September 20th. Imagine this: September 27th, 28th, and 29th. Takes place in Dana Point, California. It's called the Ohana Festival.
Mm-hmm.
Pearl Jam headlines 2 nights. Neil Young and Crazy Horse are headlining the second night. But with them is bands like everyone from Garbage and Black Pumas and Idols and Alanis Morissette. A lot of awesome bands.
Yep.
Wish those kind of festivals would come around here. That would be.
I know. But they love their West Coast festivals. Like Pearl Jam doesn't really do the music fest vibe with the Midwest crowd. I haven't seen, they love doing Wrigley, obviously, but they don't really do any big fests that are close,
No, and honestly, some of those festivals like a Lollapalooza wouldn't be where I would say, oh, let's go all day at Lollapalooza.
Yeah.
Though this past, not this weekend, the weekend before, Coachella did they did a whole live stream.
Mm-hmm.
And I tuned it on, and I don't know if you've ever listened to any Sublime.
Oh yeah.
But they're back together with I don't know if you know this, with Bradley Noel's son is now the lead singer guitar player. Jacob Noel.
Yeah.
And the other 2 original members, they sounded really, 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 really good. But again, at this point with bands like that, I think, are you looking for nostalgia for the gentleman's son? Or are you looking for, what's the word I'm looking for? Something new. So we'll see with that, but get a chance to check that out. But last words in here. So you would say in the last, let's really quick here before we move on to the last thing here. Of all the Pearl Jam, what's the word I'm looking for? Releases that have come out in the last, let's see, I'm looking here. Do you think this album is better than Gigaton?
Oh yeah, by a mile.
Lightning Bolt?
I think yes. I want to say yes, but now you're going to make me go back and re-listen to Lightning Bolt, because I tell you, the Lightning Bolt is awesome on there, and they got a couple others like Pendulums on there. But I'm going to say
Backspacer.
Nah, Backspacer. I tell you, Backspacer's underrated. Backspacer's very underrated.
Awesome.
I don't want to jump the gun and say this one is better than it right now, just because I haven't listened to it enough to rank it there. But I think yes, it will be. Yeah.
It's cool to do that, because when you really sit here and look at it, and I'm looking at all the albums, like even the album that came after Yield by Gnarl, I mean, there's a couple good tracks on that album.
Yep.
I've always been a fan of, Of the Girl and Nothing As It Seems, and those are not really rockers. And that's, the band can do quite a lot. And it was awesome that we can kind of go through some of these tracks and just kind of say, people, check it out, man. Check out the new Pearl Jam album. It's worth the time, really.
Yep.
But before the show here, I surprised you with the announcement of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame class. Let's put it right up here. We got Cher, Mary J. Blige, Dave Matthews Band, Foreigner, A Tribe Called Quest, Ozzy, Kool and the Gang, and Peter Frampton. These are the 2024 Rock and Roll Hall of Fame announcements. Now, before we go to some of these, guy I work with, he's a diehard Dave Matthews Band fan, and he immediately comes to let me know that this was Dave Matthews Band getting in, I guess, was a fan vote. Like there's one pick that gets the fans, whoever has the most fans vote, I guess that band gets in. So that's why Dave Matthews Band got in. But what are your feelings on some of these artists that have been announced here for this?
I mean, well deserved. I for the last however many years now, I think they need to rename the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame just to the Music Hall of Fame, or whatever title you want to call it, because and they should not like be ashamed of that. They should be proud of the fact that like it's a Music Hall of Fame of whatever, like everything, because all music is important, especially when you've made such an impact in the musical world. Like you got to rename it. It's not like you don't think a Cher or Mary J. Blige or a Tribe Called Quest is rock and roll. That's good music. They were innovators. They were some of the best in their era of what they did, but it wasn't rock and roll. You know what I mean? So
not in any way, shape, or form in the title. I mean, you're honestly, if you were to come over here, I would immediately start spinning you some really deep cut Kool and the Gang.
Yeah.
And you would be like, wow, this is awesome. But at the end of the day, that's not Foreigner. And, Foreigner is a little, here we go. We got a question here. Do any of these artists like Funfetti dip? I mean, you gotta imagine Ozzy. Can you imagine Ozzy eating Funfetti dip?
Oh, he would eat so much Funfetti dip. I think Tribe Called Quest would not enjoy it. Mary J. Blige would be okay with it. Dave Matthews, 100%, would be all over the Funfetti dip.
Now, really quick before we get back here to this, before we have to go, I did ask my wife the question, Brewhand Luke. I said, is Funfetti a dip or is it a spread? And her response is they do make a Funfetti dip.
See,
and it is a spread. So she did seem to back you in the regards that it can be at times looked at as a dip, but
there we go.
I guess when pressed and when just looking at the box, some people might think it's just a spread. I don't know.
Yeah, when you're
but then again, for her, really quick, when I first met her, we Double Vision by Foreigner was on the radio, and she thought it said Tunnel Vision. So who knows? She might not. We don't know if that's it. But then again, Foreigner has been pumping out quite a lot of songs to not deserve, I think, to be in. We could spend here all night. Cold Blooded, Hot Blooded, Cold as Ice. I always get those confused. Double Vision. Feels Like the First Time, I've been waiting for a skirt. For my dog, I always say for a squirrel like you, because she's always, I almost messed that up and said squirrel like you, but they are deserving. Frampton, as said, how has he not been in yet? Went to, when I was at Ball State in a parking lot, Frampton and Kansas did a double bill.
Ooh.
Oh, it was a blast. And Frampton ended with While My Guitar Gently Weeps. And I'll never forget that. I mean, Frampton is classic. I mean, Ozzy solo, awesome.
Yeah.
What are you a DMB fan? You ever catch them live?
I haven't seen them live. I'm not a big fan of them. Like personally, I don't hate them or dislike them like a lot of people are like, oh, Dave Matthews sucks. I'm like, it's music. They're not horrible. I just don't listen to them, and I don't have them in my library of music. They're Dave Matthews.
I had befriended this madman in college who was like in the first couple months of joining the fan club. So he had first 2 rows of every concert that came to town, and he's like, you won't believe the experience. I'm like, okay, I'll go. And honestly, it was like And then at that moment after that concert, I said, I think I could see Yanni in the seater, or I could see, anybody and be like, this is amazing.
Yeah.
So I don't know if being second row at any concert's a good indicator if you like the band, because it was loud. It was awesome.
Yeah.
They rocked, and it was a new, and that's right here is also the problem that I've always had, even at their shows. I'm making fun of some of the people who are in the crowd because they have a different scene of people than Fish, which honestly, I don't know if you've caught. They just this past weekend played the Sphere for 4 days. Did you see any of that on YouTube at all? I think you froze up there. He'll be back here in a second. But as we wait for him to come back, I do believe that Fish recently just played at the amazing Las Vegas Sphere, which Brewhand Luke we've talked about before. We're just going to talk about this is great right here. Yes, too many puka shell necklaces. Yes, too many puka shell necklaces. Yeah, I mean, definitely that when him and Tim Reynolds, just them at my bachelor party right here.
I caught some
just right over at recently well, it's not recently. I said recently because I thought I was talking to Luke. But at my bachelor party at Northerly Island, Farm Aid was out there and they played. Oh, here we go. We got him back here. There he is. Yeah. There's the man. But
yeah. Where do we leave off?
We were talking about Dave Matthews Band, and Brian said too many puka shell necklaces. They got an album that he mentioned here. It's just him and Tim Reynolds.
Okay.
And I was just bringing up how at what do you call that? At the Farm Aid, which was in Chicago, it was 2015. It's where I went for my bachelor party, but they played. Who also played that day, and honestly, like some of his songs, but even like Jack Johnson. Now I did have about 15 drinks in me when Jack Johnson came on already, and Mellencamp. I mean, I'm singing "Rain on the Scarecrow," and then Neil Young, and then there was a lot of people who played. You know, it was really odd who played. There was Imagine Dragons and all of those.
Wow!
Imagine Dragons at Farm Aid. Really a juxtaposition of what you're expecting. Casey Musgraves, like before she became, a bigger artist. But so I would say, like you said, some of these aren't quite rock and roll. Would you ever go to the rock? Would you ever go to the museum?
So I've been there a long time ago. Awesome. Way. We stopped in Cleveland as we were driving east somewhere in middle school, spring break. I want to say we were headed to Washington, D.C. or Hilton Head or something. And we broke up the drive as a family. And we stayed the night in Cleveland. Awesome. Or did we? Or we might have just stopped and walked around. But part of that was we went to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So we took an extended visit to Cleveland, went to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. It was cool. I would like to go back just to see what between now and 20 years ago, how much different it is. It was, especially now being a adult in my adult life, just so I could see, and now that I appreciate so much more than I did when I was younger, So
definitely, I definitely feel that, and that's how I feel about it too. I want to see it in this where I am now and take it all in and see if because if I went and saw it when I was 12, I wouldn't I'd remember it, but in a different way.
Yep.
I'd remember it like I used to remember Limp Bizkit, like they were super awesome. Not to say Limp Bizkit's not awesome, but super awesome. I don't know if they're like that anymore. But thank you so much for joining me, Brewhand Luke. We are really, really excited out there for the return of the Grateful Ducks.
That's right.
College football podcast. Right here, you can't hear it because I've got the background muted, but the phones are off the hook, calling me, wanting to know. So hopefully that's going to return soon.
Yeah.
And in about 6-7 episodes, I'll hit you up for our 9th episode again, and we'll see what we can
I'm
dig
always
up and
game.
figure out.
Always
'Cause I know
game
you
to
got a
come
lot
on.
of concerts coming up.
For
You
sure.
got a lot of awesome stuff. We got summer right around the bend. Maybe we could even find ourselves at a concert having some fun.
Definitely.
But everyone out there, please, please, please stay tuned if you are watching. My main amazing man, Brian, is having a drafty pod coming up. Please, 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 please stay tuned. It's about Arrested Development. It's going to be awesome. Tomorrow night, we will have another episode 66 tomorrow night. I've got a guest, a radio DJ, Michael Griffith, joining me.
Nice.
Talking about just he's got a radio show talking about the ins and outs of that, and it's going to be awesome. So please, 24 minutes right on the clock.
There we go.
You got to come back and you got to watch it, because honestly, not just Brian around there, but this one gentleman that is just so near dear to my heart. His name is Not Larry. Check him out. Not Larry goes way back with myself, but check it all out. Going to be awesome. And then this weekend at the show, we'll be doing an awesome baseball, awesome movie episode. So check care of all of that and all the awesome articles on the Sadistic Penguin Studios. Until the very next time, everybody, go out there and get that new Pearl Jam album, because it's really rocking. Go out there and get some Allman Brothers Band and jam it. And if you have to listen to Cher and you need to believe, because she is in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, do that too. Until the next time, everybody, take care. Peace.